Ethical.
Really? Another Office reference that he doesn't get?
Yeah.
I don't.
He doesn't watch.
He doesn't
not watch The
It was
Office.
just catchy.
He's
I
just
love
singing
it.
along. Like,
I'm like, we're gonna have to make it schedule it out for him to watch The Office because we made like how many yesterday? And he's like,
yeah, guys, this is really
yeah,
cool.
this is great. Yeah,
So funny.
I feel like I'm left in the dark.
Interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a special news bulletin from our partners in the Twisted World.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a special news bulletin from Twisted World.
What is up, Twisted World fam? It is another week, another episode. We're back with my boys. As always, what's up, guys?
I'm tired.
Ahoy. I'm also tired.
Ahoy. Working on a ship.
Why are you tired, Cody?
Well, you know, magic.
Magic.
Magic and zombies. A great combo for a Saturday night.
But that sounds like a crazy Saturday night. Magic and zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I talked to him earlier today, and I was like, "Yeah, I was up pretty late last night." He's like, "Yeah, me too, 3 a.m." And I went, "Why were you up till 3 a.m.?" He's like, "Because zombies. I had to kill zombies." I'm like, "You left my house at like 11." He's like, "I know," and there were zombies everywhere, and I had to kill. He came home and he had another game party where he decided to take on zombies until 3 a.m.
It must be nice to not be 40.
It is.
It is, I'm sure.
Brilliant. I love it.
It is
Yeah.
actually. It's really nice not to be 40.
I'm proud of my wife. Like staying up till 11:30, way past her bedtime.
I was cracking up. So you were like texting me. You're like, "Yeah, me and the girls are gonna come. We're gonna come play some Magic." And then like 10 minutes later, like, "Never mind. Amy wants to come too.
Yeah,
She can't not come." I had way too much fun yesterday.
that was great.
And for those that are listening, we decided to do a little Magic tournament at our house. It ended up growing to about 6 or 7 people. It was a blast.
For those of you that don't know, it's a card game that we're not doing magic tricks. We're not pulling rabbits out of
I don't know. Did
hats
you see how I played? I
What?
was definitely pulling rabbits out of a hat.
He's like, watch this,
Although,
guys. Mystical.
There was lots of collusion happening. And listen, see, so I'm a straight player. I wasn't texting anyone. Did any of you receive a text message from me at the table telling you what to do?
No.
You were just verbal about
You're
it.
just-
I wasn't even that verbal.
Blatantly vocal.
Listen,
Hey,
balance.
Don't
No.
do that.
No.
As he's winking.
No, I was
Do that.
teamed up on by the final 3 players of last night. I just want to throw that out there. We played like 6 hours. I was dedicated to the game and find out that there were 3 of them texting each other like, "Give me 2 more hands. 2 more hands and I will crush Andy and he will go home crying."
Bro.
I'm like, why me? What did I do?
what about the women? The women are ruthless.
They are. Well, I have a feeling that it was Sarah that started that whole text message in the first place. Cody's wife said now that I know this, like, we're unrelenting the next time we play on Sarah.
Dude, my wife all of a sudden, all right, guys, now you're in for it. I'm just like, what? Where did you come from? This like soft little, now you want to just murder people? Like,
You
what's
go
going
back
on?
like a month ago and they're like, "You guys want to play cards? Why are we going to play cards?" Now it's like, I'm afraid.
At the time, we're killing people.
I have to hide the Magic cards at home.
Dude, I have to sleep with one eye open now. I'm just saying. Like, you showed a whole nother side to her, you know. The whole sleep thing, last episode, we talked about I got like 3 hours of sleep, guys, and the melatonin. I listen back to the episode. It's kind of like I was intoxicated. I do not drink. I want people out there to know. So if
No,
you're
you
like,
just take high amounts of melatonin without reading the label.
it's on the vitamin shelf. Like you can take
Are you a
vitamin
guy
C,
that like
B12.
Are you a guy that like buys like a dresser at IKEA and then just builds it without looking at the directions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you not?
Is that why you don't have very many dressers?
I got one.
Was it pre-built?
No.
Did you
no,
pay you paid someone to build it?
Actually, I did read the instructions on that one.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going to say,
it's
solid.
how did
It's pretty solid.
how did you build that?
I
without
have
the
built
instructions?
a
Like
lot,
a jigsaw puzzle. You know?
a lot of IKEA furniture
That's a
in the
risky
day.
jigsaw
That is
puzzle.
dangerous. I get to the end of it, because IKEA always gives you extra parts. They just do, right?
And they don't tell you.
They don't tell you that. But you
Yeah.
get to the end of the dresser and you find like there's like 5 of these dowels and like screws and things, and you're like, "Oh God, what did I miss? I missed something." And so you spend 20 minutes reading through the directions and going, oh, okay, I'm good. These must be extra. And you justify in yourself that it's not going to fall down. You'll be fine.
Listen, we are men. We do not need instructions.
I disagree.
You need instructions because when you buy a coffee table and you accidentally build a fridge, you have a problem. Like, oh my gosh, how'd this get here? You know, what happened? You know, I better read the instructions.
Oh God, that's hysterical.
So I just a disclaimer out there, fam, out listening, all of our listeners. If you listen to DB Cooper episode, the distinguished gentleman about the hijacker. I was running on a little bit of sleep and a fair amount of melatonin. No big deal. Also want to give out a big shout out to one of our listeners, Renee, for dropping on our donation page. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for all of you guys listening. If you're wondering how you can donate to expand and help us grow, we do have that option. So
understand that if you donate right now, because it's so early and we're not really doing this for any kind of money at this point.
Yeah.
It just goes back into us getting the podcast out there. So we're literally using it to boost ads and posts on social media to help get other people to listen to. So awesome. And thank you.
How do they donate if they want to donate?
So right now, if you look at our podcast, the link at the bottom of our podcast is on every single podcast has that link, and it basically says donations. However, we have done a couple of posts, and we'll probably do another one this week where we put it out saying, hey, if you would like to participate. Now, right now, we don't have like a Patreon because we're not doing video. Eventually, that may be something where people can be a part of the show and get some extra stuff for participating. But right now, if they want to donate, pretty simple. I don't have the link off the top of my head, but it's basically through our Red Circle, which is where I host our podcast through. There's a donation page. So when you click on that link, it'll go there, and then it'll walk you through the process on how to donate. It notifies me. So the one thing it does not do is tell me who donated. So I had to do a little a little investigation to try to figure out who this was.
Detective Andy on the job.
But anyways, yes. So if you want us to be aware, if you want to be anonymous, just send it on through and we will be thankful and we will mention it on the podcast. But if you want to let us know, you could always shoot us a message today. Appreciate you guys. Listen to what you're doing. Send some money over. And that would make us aware that you guys did it. But it does not let us know who sent the money.
Yeah, again, you don't have to tell us, but we would love to know so that, we can give love where love's due.
We want to appreciate.
Yeah, we appreciate all you guys out there, all those that are sharing our content, our podcast episodes, all of you that like and follow. If you haven't had a chance, please jump on any one of our social media sites, all of them actually, and click like, follow us, check us out. I'm so glad I got guys like Andy and Cody. I really do. These guys, I don't have a clue about a lot of this stuff and all the coding and all the stuff that needs to happen, to make this happen. I think I do probably the easiest job out of them and what they do. I just research the topic and we talk about it. It's great.
If you want to edit Cody's podcast channel for 5 hours, I can totally set you up. Modify.
We can make that happen.
We can make it happen.
Well, I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah.
But, you guys are the geniuses in that arena. I'm cool with that. You guys understand that stuff. I do not. Kind of like our topic.
Segues. It was better. It was better. It was a little chunky.
I'll admit it was better.
It was better. I totally cut it off, which really made it awkward. But
you did.
We'll work on it.
So the topic of today, talking about codes and deciphering and trying to figure stuff out. This one has a lot to do. This is a Reddit or subreddit, excuse me, that has been shortened to RA858.
Now, I'm going to jump in here because most people have an awareness of what Reddit is.
Yeah.
But Reddit is it's basically a website and it's a forum, right? And there are individual Reddit forums, right? Reddit's the name of the website, reddit.com. It has individual pages that people can create and then they can moderate themselves and they have users. So in this particular case, it's a forum that someone created called
RA858.
Okay. So that just for the start, that's the name of it. And moderators, the person that owns the page initially, because no one's following it initially, would be the first person typically to post. Not always, but in this particular case, whoever moderated the page, the one that would post on it, and then.
So this is the name of the page.
That's the name of the page.
RA858, but it was done by a user of another name. I guess we'll get into that. But
right.
He created this page in 2011. He or she created this page in 2011, and for 5 years solid, made a thousands of posts, all of encrypted code, right? Letters, numbers, symbols, something
sequences of letters and numbers like that didn't seem to have any
like
true intent or purpose.
somebody like me looks at it and goes, some dude jumped on here on an acid trip and decided to just start typing stuff. I mean, is, deep.
It's more like
walls are melting.
Your cat walked across your keyboard. Right?
Gotcha. So he's like, hey, I'm going to let my kitten Furball do some posts, and then just kept going with it. Because that's, when I looked at it, that's all I saw. I don't make heads or tails of this stuff. So he or she makes these posts, thousands of them, and around 2015, I believe, people started, there was another forum was created called Ask or Solve RA858.
Solving 8858. Yeah.
And so a group of people came together and tried to figure out and crack these codes. So we have this thousands of encrypted messages and people going, oh, we're going to break it. We're going to figure it out. And list of people from like computer science students, amateur cryptographers, enthusiasts, all attempting to crack the possible code. They're not even sure if it's code in the beginning. It's just random, again, to somebody like me. A lot of our listeners, check it out. You can see images of it online. It looks like just a bunch of random nonsense. Some drug-induced nonsense by a cat named Furball. The cat was on LSD then. Is my
Wow. A lot going on with that cat.
Yeah. So let's dig in, and I'm trying to understand deeper, like they cracked some of these. And my understanding, it was like some stuff that made absolutely no sense. To this day, even the ones that were cracked were mysterious in themselves.
Okay, so let's talk about. There's a lot said there, so I'm just gonna try and. So
LSD is a drug, by the way.
Oh, what's it stand for?
It's a medical term.
I don't know. They just
but
take
I think they call it acid.
Lucy in the Sky.
Lucy Kai. Yes.
No, but
Magic School Bus.
I think Andy, you're being way too nice to the people who don't know what Reddit is in 2022.
Again, I have a lot of people that feedback and go, well, I don't know what that is. If people aren't aware of the culture of it, now understand, we live in a time now where internet mysteries are a thing, right? But understanding that someone in their 40s may not be people that jump on. We can talk about DB Cooper and they get really excited, but they don't know much about. And I'm not insulting anyone. I'm 35 and I've got friends that don't. My brother doesn't do any of this stuff. I mentioned Reddit. He's like, I don't know what that is.
Listen, before you guys like really came into my life and I started digging into these kind of things, I never went on Reddit. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Are you serious?
And I'm over here celebrating my cake day, right? Like, you have no idea what that means, right?
It's just your birthday on Reddit.
It's your birthday on Reddit,
when
right? I think I'm at like 14 years on Reddit or something like that.
Well, there you go. So you guys have cake days on Reddit. I don't have a clue.
A better way to explain it, and I know Cody's kind of mocking the people that don't know Reddit, but the better way to explain it is,
Cody.
Rather than like when you would go look up something for your car, right? I want to know if these types of rims will fit on my Hyundai. I would go to a Hyundai forum website and I would type in what I'm looking for and see if there's a post about it. And I would do that. And it would be kind of that website had everything. It was just for Hyundais. It was like a Hyundai forum, right? Reddit was created with this concept of you could create your own forums. You can create your own posts, and people that join you, with the exception of maybe if it's a private forum, but most of the time it was a public forum, people could post and engage and be a part of it. It's social media in a sense, but like for instance, if I want pet turtles, I can go to R Turtles. It's a Reddit subpost called About Turtles. People post pictures of their turtles. People post, health and care stuff about their turtles. And so it became this place that's just a hub of forums, and it's not a chat room. It is a forum. So it is publicly posted unless it's a private forum, which most of them are not private. But for this particular case, this person creates a forum, names it some random thing, and then starts posting. Now, my initial ask is, how do people find this stuff in the first place? Right? Because it usually takes something crazy, like an image of some kind or something like that, to cause this to kind of get out in front of people. This means that somebody randomly, that's my assumption, randomly stumbled across this and was like, I see more than what is there. Because I look at it and go, this is stupid. It's just a bunch of numbers.
So again, I don't dabble in Reddit like y'all, but is there a search bar?
Yeah, there's a
There
search
is.
bar.
Absolutely.
So could you type like code, decipher code?
No.
Could you type any of that stuff?
What
what
could,
would lead
but
somebody to this?
You're not going to find that.
You would not find this.
Oh,
And
okay.
what would come up is you would come up with subreddits around deciphering and subreddits around code. You would not.
No. When you type in code, you're not going to find diddly. If you type in random numbers and letters into the search bar, you're not going to find it.
That's not true.
Nothing's going to come up.
It does, and it comes up with subreddits named similar names to what you're searching.
So
It's not gonna. You're not gonna find what he's.
Could I search like how much melatonin should I
When you
take
search
to go to
50
sleep?
random characters, you're not going to find anything on Reddit.
I agree. But what I'm saying is, if he types the word code in, it's going to bring up
Sure.
every subreddit or user with the word code in.
Oh, did you mean the word code?
He
Or
means the
did
word
you mean
code.
the actual code?
Yeah, the word code.
Okay,
like
sure.
decoding or
Yeah. When
Would
you
it
do that.
pop-
I thought you meant
would
literal
it pop
strings.
up
I'm
this
like, you're not gonna get it.
RA858?
So that being said, there are subreddits called like random, but these are usually moderated by people that go out and find these very obscure Reddits and post them on there so that it draws attention to those. I have seen that before. But again, how somebody would be able to find this in the first place, and he doesn't label, if I understand correctly, I'm like looking through it, he doesn't like specify this as a code to be broken early on. It's just code.
Right.
It doesn't say solve this. It doesn't. It
So
looks
to
like later on it says that.
So
But
to understand Reddit, instead of using like WebMD to diagnose my symptoms from now on, maybe I should just go to Reddit.
There's doctors on Reddit.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But
Vo-
also there's people pretending to be doctors on Reddit. So
it's voice of the people.
The caveat.
So you're going for the mob effect. You want people to talk you into it or out of it? Reddit's the place
It's
to go.
it's like a lifeline on Millionaire.
Okay.
Yeah, 50-50.
Well, yeah.
50-50 whether it's right or not.
You grade them based off of like the information that they give you and how detailed it could be and how credible it is. You know, they usually say source, I'm a doctor, or source, I'm a doctor from this school or whatever. You know, or they say source, my friend's a doctor or whatever.
So
You
as Twisted World Podcast, should we have a Twisted World Reddit?
As it grows, yeah, absolutely, because that'd be a great
Oh.
place to draw people in to post about conspiracies that we can build on. If there's so the problem is a
Cool.
lot of this has to have a community behind it. When this thing started, this individual, let's assume it's an individual, started posting these things with no true following. Now, mind you, the forum now only has like 3,800 users that are subscribed to it, that are joined.
But how did somebody stumble upon this random gibberish?
I think that's a mystery in itself.
My understanding of it is that this user would reply to things on other Reddits in that same code, and that's how people caught wind of this user, and then also the Reddit later on.
And that makes sense because I can tell you on circumstances like, for instance, the whole stock thing that happened this year with GameStop, or last year with GameStop, right?
Yeah.
That individual was posting on like a bet site, like not a bet site, but like Wall Street bet site. He was posting his update on his GameStop thing. Well, if you clicked on that user, you could go back and see all the things he posted and everything he's a part of because it's kind of a part of your profile. So if he went to another forum that had a lot of followers and he posted something like code or he posted something generic, he was putting it out into the world where there was more people to see it. That could draw attention back if somebody was willing to click on his name and dig in a little deeper and go, oh, wait, what's this? So if I'm him and I want people to be involved in this, I create these things. And then what I would do is I would go to something like a conspiracy Reddit or a puzzle breaking Reddit or those types of Reddits. And I would comment something very cryptic because those types of Reddits have certain types of followers that are looking for Enigma codes, those types of things that are like unbreakable and puzzles. If that's the case, then he himself or he or she himself, they drummed up their own attention. Now that I don't know that for sure. I haven't dug into the user myself, but that would be the only logical way for someone to find this because he's right. I can't just go and be like, type in random characters and somehow magically found this page.
Well, also this subreddit was locked initially, right? It only allowed certain individuals inside, whoever they deemed worthy. And we don't know the criteria it would take to allow a user to get into this subreddit. We just know that there were few individuals who were allowed in here, brought the information back to the outside world by posting somewhere else or telling other people about it. And then that grew in popularity. So then they made another subreddit because they couldn't get into that one. They made another subreddit called Solving 8858. And then that one was the one that they can link people to and go, hey, check out, here's what they're literally just taking the code from 8885 subreddit, putting it in Solve 8858 so that people can do it and actually look at it. More people could look at it. The whole community.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that there was a few thousand people that tried to, I guess, get accepted so that they could get into the private status of the initial page or whatever.
Yeah.
And only a handful were, as you put it, deemed worthy.
But again,
So,
I don't know enough about the history of it, like where this thing started. But my guess is he put a test out in public areas and allowed individuals with no information. Just I'm throwing this out there, and those that were able to solve it were probably those the initial 200 or 20 or whatever it was to get an invite to start this thing. Because once that trickle started, its messaging kind of carries itself. He no longer has to do that because now people have been invited in from the public. There's a mystery there, and now people are intrigued. And now you've got a few thousand people going, "Oh wait, I want to be a part of this. I want to know what this is." But my guess is that he initially did, and I want to call it something other than that, but it's recruiting, right? Essentially, I'm going to throw this puzzle out into the world. You know, like I can print it out on a sticker and stick it on the stop signs in town, and anyone that responds back to that website or goes to that website and checks this box, it deems worthy in my eye, right? So we don't know how he did it. He could have done something physical like that. Maybe he made paper posters, put them around town. Somebody's walking through and goes, looks at this thing and goes, "Oh, I see a puzzle in that," and they solve it, and it goes to a website. Right? I don't have enough information based on what I can see that that's the case. But usually with something like this, it just didn't come out of thin air. People didn't just get invitations because of whatever. He or she tested them initially for some reason or some purpose. I guess the question is, what is that reason, that purpose? And that's where we're going to eventually dig into is right now, it's just a random set of characters on a website that had attention drawn to it.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like RA858 is the shortened version. It's like
it was 15 characters, wasn't it?
Yeah, R8858 DE45F56 D9BC. What? Again, he's just like, I'm gonna start typing stuff in caps and see what happens. Like what?
What we do know, and I'm not trying to cut anyone. What we do know is that we live in a society where mystery causes a lot of intrigue. We think about things like Zodiac, right? We talked about D.B. Cooper. If he had been found dead after jumping off the plane, no one would really know about him.
Yeah, people wouldn't be still talking about it today.
Correct. But because there's a mystery involved with him not being found, there's all these possibilities of what it could be or what it ended up being, or the fact that he could still be alive or he could have died in 2018. That is what makes it exciting. That's what makes it intriguing, right? So this idea of the not knowing and the Enigma code is, I keep going back to that, but that was so unsolvable when it happened. It's such a big deal, right? So I think that people are looking for mystery in everything.
Yeah, I mean, it breaks up the monotony of life, I guess. You wake up, you go to work, you enjoy your family, and then all of a sudden, RA858. I'm going to spend some time trying to figure out what this is. And can I be a part of the cool club? I mean, I clearly couldn't because I wouldn't even know where to begin.
You're looking for a specific type of person, somebody that looks at the world as everything has code or intrigue or mystery behind it. I don't do that, right? I don't look at that and go, wait a minute, that's a random step. Like Zodiac Killer is prompted with murder, right? Murder, and then when these letters are sent. So there's a hidden you assume, or you're looking for something more than just this letter to make sense of it because something happened. He initiated that whole thing.
Yeah, just like murder mystery novelists, they draw you in.
Correct.
Right? You're like, I don't want to put this book down because I got to figure out what the end is. I just flip to the last page and go, yeah.
But this
so
is
I wait
different.
for somebody to figure it out on Reddit and go, hey, we got it. And I'm like, boom, mystery solved.
I want to, and again, I said this to you guys before the podcast. I want to paint a picture, right? It's really hard for us to kind of get people interested in this if they can't physically see it. Just imagine 15 random letters and numbers. Right now, these probably make sense to someone, but just imagine you see that. How many of the people that are listening would go, there must be more to that.
Right. Well, and that's just the title of the subreddit. The codes themselves were lines.
But there's a reason for everything. He wouldn't just pick random numbers. It may not have been solved yet, but the reason, the name of this Reddit means something. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah, like I said, I like drugs and pink unicorn. And when people solve that, they like, okay, it makes sense. It all adds up. I'm just saying.
I'm so lost.
I don't know.
Drugs and pink unicorns.
I again, by the way,
Is that on the script?
when I researched this,
Wait.
I looked at some of the images of the codes themselves, and I'm just staring at these, going, "What in the heck is going through this guy's head?" And so when I then seen the ones that were deciphered, can we talk about this for a minute? Just
Sure.
The two that I saw. One was an excerpt from a Max Lerner. And if you don't know who Max Lerner is, he was like an early 1900 Jewish descent, born in Russia, and he was early 1900s liberal, which I read this guy. He was like trying to compare liberals to then and now. It's different, but this guy was like anti-government control, but he was, Yale University high honors graduate, writer, publicist, and he wrote a bunch of books. And one of them was called Actions and Passions by Max Lerner. And the excerpt says that this was the excerpt that was found within the code. It says, "Do not confuse your vested interest, vested interest with ethics. Do not identify the enemies of your privilege with the enemies of humanity."
Okay, now break it down for me like I'm 5. What is he trying to say there?
Well, I never read Max Lerner. I'm
Well, you read the
slightly
sentence.
familiar with who he is, but yeah. So do not confuse your vested interest with ethics. So that's your own ideal, right? Your own, where your perception of things, like you're invested in certain interests and beliefs. And he says, do not confuse that with ethics. Well, ethics. I need to
No,
give you a definition of ethics. Yeah.
Ethical.
Is it ethical?
really? Another Office reference that he doesn't get.
Yeah.
I don't.
He doesn't want.
He
he's
doesn't
not watching The
It was
Office.
just catchy.
He's
I
just
love
singing
it.
along. Like,
I'm like, we're gonna have to make it schedule it out for him to watch The Office because we made like how many yesterday? And he's like,
yeah, guys, this is really
yeah, this
cool.
is great. Yeah,
So funny.
I feel like I'm left in the dark, just like this code. The other one is, do not identify the enemies of your privilege with the enemies of humanity. So the enemies of your privilege are people that are trying to attack your things like your taxes and how you live and freedom, especially in this country, because a lot of his stuff was about America. Do not confuse those enemies with the enemies of humanity, people that are actually against human life.
aliens.
So, yes, I mean, back to the enemies of the privilege.
What
would
are
that,
we even talking about?
Would that be like the 5-0 that want to take away your drugs? Is that the enemies of your privilege?
I'm
And then,
so confused as to why Max Lerner is involved.
I don't get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cody is dropping his iPad. He's going unscripted.
Do we
here.
want to say the other one that was
No.
before you talk about Max Lerner?
I'm hijacking this podcast. Everybody, shh. Okay. So
So stop moving.
this
your mic.
has, gone off the rails. Okay. Here we go. Listen, here's the deal. Okay. 8858 is a mysterious subreddit found on Reddit. If you don't know what Reddit is, read a book. I mean,
Well, I've explained
Google
it now.
it. Yeah,
We're
you've
good.
explained it plenty. So listen,
I still feel like he's
It-
taking jabs at 40-year-olds.
I will always take jabs at you if you don't know what Reddit is. Get on the internet. So anyway, it's a subreddit. It also has a user by the same name. Okay, there's tons and tons of random code that was put on there as posts all through the years. Right, they mean something because two or five, 2 to 5. I don't know how many. Is it like 5? I think it's 2 to 5.
It said a handful.
A handful.
I could only find 2. Though,
A couple
that
of
was
them.
discussed.
A couple of them have been decoded, right, to something that is meaningful, at least, and that's 2 of the excerpts you were just reading, right, from a book.
That was
From-
all one excerpt. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was all one excerpt from a book, right? And
Uh-huh.
then there's another one that talks about it's some sort of ASCII art to Stonehenge, what it looks like, right?
I'm sorry. ASCII art.
ASCII art.
Just like Van Gogh.
It's just like
You want me to take over?
it's just like some symbols. I mean, yeah, you can explain.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they don't need to know exactly what ASCII
No,
is.
but a simple explanation is that computers speak one language, humans speak another, right? Binary, which is zeros and ones. We speak English or Spanish or whatever language you want. ASCII is a universal code language that can be spoken that allows to translate computer talk into something we can understand. So that's all it is. However, it has a bunch of random characters that you would see splattered all over your keyboard in no particular order. But it allows communication between zeros and ones to go to English and break down. So it's a language. That's all it is.
It's a medium, right? To get to
Correct.
translate stuff. So, but in this instance, what it does is it took the person who decoded this, and we'll get into how they decoded it exactly later. But when this one post out of the thousands of posts were decoded, just imagine that there's 15,000 people in this solving 8858 community who are combing this 5-year trail of just nonsense to find 1 to 5 posts to finally get decrypted. And one of them is just an asciiart. Go Google asciiart. If you're listening to this, go Google asciiart and just click on the first link, look at some asciiart.
A ton of it.
Yeah, there's a ton of it. Okay, it's just a bunch of symbols that make a picture.
Right? It's like making a portrait out of jelly beans, and essentially, right?
They probably spent like
I like jelly beans.
Hundreds of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours.
Could you imagine?
I would be mad.
Could you imagine spending thousands of hours decrypting this
with
thing
a community of
have a
cryptographers
of Elmo
and scientists and people, and then you decrypt it, and you're like, yes, what is the CIA doing right now? And then you're like, it's a picture of Stonehenge, and you're like, why? And no one knows, and no one cares. So
what do these people do for a living? They can sit around doing this stuff all day. That's what I want to know.
They work desk jobs like myself. So anyway, so moving on from that, there are people who are decoding this stuff, right? So there's a guy by the name of Fragglet who is the moderator of solving 8888. The guy solving the Reddit, the subreddit 8858 or Fragglet, the user, yeah,
like Fraggle Rock.
I don't.
And see
down a Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, those are people that don't know Reddit.
I think my grandpa used to sing that song. Anyway, so so this guy, he is the one who's kind of like leading the charge. He's super interested in cryptography and knows a bunch about like scripting and code writing. Anyway, he eventually finds one of the posts after he's probably combed a lot of these too, finds one post and he notices that it's different and it's very organized. It's got like 20 lines and it's like 16 character long each. And it's very cut and clean. Not like the rest of them. The rest of them are kind of out of whack. This one's very square, right? And so he notices that, takes note of it. What actually happened is that he discovered that it's hexadecimal, and it's actually a key that is used to solve a lot of the things that 8858 is saying. And so he basically writes a Python script. Don't know what Python is. It's a coding language, but he writes a script, which is basically a short thing for it's a little tiny program that just does a little thing.
It automates a process. Right. Something that is very done manually. You can write code that allows you to do it automated, so you don't have to manually do the process.
Right. So it basically turns 8858's code because it requires a hexadecimal key, and that's what he found from recognizing this set of 20 lines and 16 characters. So he recognized that as a key, a hexadecimal key, so that he can use it to decrypt it. Sorry for getting super complex here, but this is exactly what happened.
So whoever did RA858 must have been of some level of intelligence, right? Or no? Or is it still feasible
we'll get into the who in a moment, because it's not just one person. So what happened was after he created that script, it only unsolves certain things. It doesn't do every single thing, because all the things inside the Reddit are just tons and tons of different, they're deciphered differently. All of them are deciphered differently.
Meaning that they have different set of decipher tools used to decipher them.
Some of them need a key.
We believe.
Yeah, some of them need different keys, and we don't even have all the keys. We only know the keys to certain ones. But this one was great because what it did is it unlocked a section where we found 8858 commenting numerous things, and he was doing an AMA. And if you're familiar with Reddit, you know what an AMA is. If you're old, here's what an AMA is. It's an Ask Me Anything, okay? It's where basically famous people or companies go on and they do, hey, I'm a representative from this company, or hey, I'm Chris Rock.
Person of interest.
Yeah, and so I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything, and you can ask them anything, and they have to respond on Reddit, right?
I just want a disclaimer for all of you listening. I apologize. If you're 40, you are not old. I just want to throw that out there.
I don't know.
His term old.
Did we use the word old to describe 40? I think that was.
So, and so what's happening is this AMA is going on. So basically 885 is going, hey guys, I'm doing an ask me anything, and if you can figure it out. So this Fragglet's like, here's the script. Let's ask him questions. they started asking him a whole bunch of questions. I say him because it's actually him. We'll find out that later. So basically they ask him like, hey, what languages do you speak? And this was interesting because he actually responded with, I speak English, Russian, and potato. And the reason why
potato?
Yes, and that's very important. That's an ask me anything response.
Well, back to the Russian, maybe that's why he used Max Lerner, because Max Lerner was a Russian Jewish man.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting. Okay.
I did not know that he was asked what language you speak, and he speaks Russian. So maybe there's a tie there.
And potato, which I'm very intrigued by.
Yeah, we're more interested on the potato, but yes, Russian's a good point. That's a tie there. That's really good. We connected that dot.
The potato thing just leads me back to drugs. I'm just saying.
Here's the other thing. Here's the thing that that corresponds to the potato thing. The other question was, how old are you? And he responded with, I'm older than the legal drinking age for Ireland.
What is the legal drinking age of Ireland?
And I didn't look that up. It's probably really young. But
Google.
But but that's not what's interesting.
Baby bottles full of ale.
The interesting part is the Ireland part, because Irish folk and the word potato go together like nothing else. Well,
yeah, because that's where potatoes came from. If you're not aware, like they were brought to this country from Ireland.
They love potato. But that's the origin.
That's where they come from.
Potatoes. Potatoes. Anyway, and it can be a form of self-identification. Potato, like Ireland is potato, or it could be a term of endearment. You could say, "Oh, you look like a potato today." That means that you look good enough to eat.
I'm gonna go home and tell my wife, like, "You look like a potato."
You look like the most beautiful potato I've ever seen.
See how she responds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good looking potato.
Is that like a red potato?
Interesting.
Like, babe, you look like a red potato today.
Probably brown.
My
like
wife is a brown.
Did you just call her rustic?
Not her specifically, but potato.
But should I use that as a term of endearment? Is that cool?
You can always test it out and let us know.
That's a conversation between you and your wife.
Is that
I don't want to get in
like pillow talk. Hey, babe, you look like a potato today. I'm not thinking that's going to get me anywhere.
This is taking a turn. So
I want to bring one thing. There is one other AMA question that was asked.
Go for it.
That I thought was interesting. They asked him what his favorite movie was.
Oh.
What did he say?
War Games.
What's that?
Okay, so do you remember the premise of War Games and kind of the whole solution to it all?
Yes.
The only way to win?
To lose.
No.
I guess.
It was to like launch war within the game, right?
The only way to win was by not playing the game.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So if you think of that in the sense of he's putting all these things out there and his favorite game is War Games, the only way, if I'm interpreting it in my own way, the only way to solve this is by not participating. The only way to do this is to not participate in the way that you would normally participate.
That guy's a trip.
That's a lot. That's a lot for one response.
But think about, why would someone say War Games?
Maybe that's just their favorite movie.
No. If this guy is all about puzzles, every response he gives in that AMA has meaning. It has to.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
you just dissected potato.
I did see a base.
Yeah, I know I did, and I'm just saying that it has connections to Ireland. That's all I was saying. I wasn't saying that his motive comes from all this nonsense.
And he
about
said he's above the drinking age of Ireland, but we don't know what the drinking age is.
Legally, they can't sell or whatever until the age of 18. However, with parental consent, they can drink at any
height, so they can be sick.
Okay,
if their mommy and daddy says so.
Fantastic. So we have a very highly intelligent toddler.
And it's not illegal.
Playing around on the internet. But hey, these kids nowadays can
I found that.
It's great.
I found the War Games thing very intriguing. To me, that is the premise. Like, it's a strange game. Like, it's strange. That's the whole point of it. But the only winning move is to not play.
We got to add that movie to the list of movies that
Cody
has not seen.
Yeah.
One question on the AMA was pretty open. Someone just said, "What's the purpose?" And his response that I saw was, "We cannot disclose the purpose. A858 will end when the purpose is disclosed or discovered."
Yeah, left it open-ended.
Very open-ended.
And the thing is it. I think that's really. Do you guys have any more from the AMA? I think that's all.
I didn't dig too much into it. I was just looking to see if there were any other questions that came up that outside of the ones you mentioned, and that one popped out to me. I don't have any right in front of me. I'll keep looking.
So, you're probably wondering what's going on with it now. Like, is what's happened? So, I mean, at this point, it has ended. There has been a conclusion to it, although it is not really a satisfying one. So basically what happened was the Reddit he stopped posting, first of all. And then it kind of went dark for a little while. Basically,
It's private now, right? Like it's
No,
still there.
it's
It's
there.
just private.
it's not private. You can go to it.
There's no more code.
There's code. It's all the codes there from
The original, but nothing new.
nothing new.
Okay.
Nothing new since 2016. So, when you are, sorry, where was I? I was talking about.
Yeah.
No, but so
Well, I just want to Fragglet and Fragglet's buddy ETH, is my understanding. They claim to have contacted the creator.
yes, that's what I was getting to. Is that they both contacted the guy in private messages, and this is all. I mean, these are claims, but I mean, they have some pretty significant proof that they actually did talk to this person because of the things that they go on to say in the Solving 8858 Reddit, where they make a post. It's a pinned post. We can go back and look at it. It's still up now. And they talk about their conversations they had with this individual in the private messaging, and they interviewed him, asked a bunch of questions. They asked him about what's the purpose of this. He said he's not going to disclose the purpose of it because he can't. He doesn't even know the purpose of it because he was paid by a company to. So he was paid by a company to do a. This thing he was paid
To make the post.
to make these posts. They sent him the code, and he has to make the post. So
They said that he was paid by a company to draw interest to the project, but did not know himself.
This was in the messages?
No, this is what ETH and Fragglet, when they so somebody contacted, or Team W Mod jumped in on one of the on the other subreddit, the solving one, made some comments, and somebody to prove that Team W Mod, which is just somebody's username, to prove that Team W Mod was part of ownership of 858, that Team W Mod allowed some of the other users to allowed them access into when it was private. So this person allowed access, so showing that Team W Mod had ownership,
or at least mod access, not necessarily ownership, but moderator access in order to let that person in. Yeah, they have the
they just use
moderators could be I can appoint moderators, right? I could own the forum and then appoint you to both moderators.
So Team W Mod had some level of control.
Correct. He was associated with the level of ownership. May not have known who the person was, but was close enough to the cuff. Maybe was a part of that initial wave that got pulled.
Possibly.
Moderators are usually your early adopters.
Well, Team W Mod came on and said that they were owner, and they said, "Okay, we'll prove you're an owner," and Team W Mod allowed people in.
Oh, that as a form of proof
to prove that Team W Mod was part owner.
But then it says here, then it was deleted. What does that mean?
Team W Mod now is gone.
Oh, the user.
So he allowed some people in, proved that he was ownership, said what he said, and then the user deleted.
Interesting. Okay.
And then again, Ethan Fragglet contacted, I think it was Team W Mod, but they contacted the creator. That's all it said. And again, this person said, "I'm paid by a company to draw interest to the project, but never claimed to what the project was or anything else." And that's where and then 2016, it was locked. Keep in mind also in 2016, this had gained so much media presence that Fox News did a report on it.
So going back, this is what Cody was talking about. All we know is that they state that they contacted. Do they have copies of these messages? Do we have pictures of it? Or is it just them saying, "Hey, we talked to the creator and he said he was paid by a company to do this"?
No. So they Fragglet made a post. I can pull it up, but Fragglet made a post on Solving 8858 about some closure. That's the title of the post.
Okay.
I don't know whether it was here it is. Oh, that's something else. Post date May, something else. Solving 8858 some closure. Here it is. So it's by the user who was deleted. It's the person who said they were from
Team W Mod.
Yeah, Team W Mod. This is the person who made this post, and he talks about how Fragglet had contacted them and that he was going to say this stuff and everything like that. So
he just confirms that Fragglet he confirms what Fragglet said.
He tells
Okay.
he's like, thanks everybody for participating in 8858, you know, all this stuff. And the post is still on there. You can go read it, but it's
So that's pretty good proof, in my opinion. If this guy was able to allow people in and said that Fragglet did talk with them and he did confirm that they were paid by some company, they don't really specify the company, but they were paid by some company to do this, and now the project's done, and then
and he also said the same Team W mod, this creator or ownership of some sort, led on that someone had cracked the post and said it was a woman in the UK, and that and shows some of the messages between these individuals, and that the UK user then was deleted.
Yeah, her account's gone now too. We don't know what happened to her or who she was or where she came from or whatever, but that's who they claim cracked it.
Yeah, like she cracked it and then gone. She disappeared.
Interesting.
Another thing they said in the AMA, or not the AMA, but the disclosure post, they talked about how they are saying, please do not try and solve the rest of the codes because you will not get them because we have not provided the keys for those. So attempting to solve those would be futile. They're just saying don't.
When you told me that earlier, I thought, well, that's kind of dumb. But I'm thinking about it again. How many posts were made? Just estimate. Was it 1,000? Was it more than that?
It said thousands.
Okay.
Thousands.
So part of the puzzle could be identifying ones that could be cracked. I'm going to provide these ones that can, but I'm going to needle and haystack them. Because not only do you have to solve the code, but you also have to identify the ones that can be solved. And how would you get to that point? To me, that in itself is a puzzle, is identifying the ones that can be cracked. That would be the reason to release these things and not have any purpose to them.
And that's kind of what happened, because you'll see the only reason why we got the Python script in order to do that was because of Fragglet's identification of the clean cut key that he found that was 16 by 20. Right. And he identified it as hexadecimal, and he was like, that's a key for
identifying the unique post.
Exactly. So I was able to identify that. It just going to take the certain type of people to identify the certain types of keys. They may not be as clear as that, but that's how one of them was solved. At least that's what we know.
So out of thousands, a handful were designed to be cracked. The rest were just the evil cat Fluffy walking on the keyboard.
Yeah, I mean,
could be
probably just enough to intrigue people to listen. If we have some that are solvable, in your mind, you believe all are. Right. And so the idea is to see how many people are going to focus in on these individual and how many people are going to be able to, if I'm thinking of this long time, I'm not somebody that can crack codes. Right. But the idea is if I can create something or I can get a key, like they said, I can scan all of these to see if I can find the ones that stick out. It would make sense why only 1 to 5 have been solved or 2 to 5 have been solved out of 1,000. Right. Is that was the intent, is for people to spend this amount of time. I see here in the notes it says it reopened in 2018. What happened?
For a week.
Yeah, but did something happen during that time? Did we get any new posts, or was it just like a weird?
No new posts.
No, it just went public for a week and then went back to private.
I wonder if that's just to pop attention back again. I mean, a lot of times we do those things just to draw attention, but if there's no intent behind it, it's weird.
Yeah, and that was in the Fox News report. There wasn't much to it,
right? As
far as why or what transpired during that week. It was a 1 week period. It opened back up. So it's like the back to what you guys are saying. It's like the maze effect, right? You got the maze on a page, and you're trying to get to the center from the starting point, and it's all these different dead ends until you get to the center. So they're leading somebody, or whatever reason, they're trying to find people that get to, even though the ones that were deciphered, literally, as far as we can see, mean nothing. I mean, some picture of Stonehenge. I think Stonehenge is all get out.
Okay, we're going to get into the theory
of tie to Mac Lerner, right?
We're going to get into the theory of it a bit here in a second, like what we think and what we believe it might be. But if I'm intending on finding someone coming out the end of this, it's some form of test or game, right? All of those things are created as roadblocks, right? The maze, like people that can't solve things after a period of time, stop playing the game. You're going to thin out the herd. And so the idea is to thin out the herd so you only have
That's why I got so many video games that just sit there, because I get halfway through the game and I'm like, I'm done.
How many people have 100%ed Dark Souls? I know Cody has. That's an accomplishment for him.
Cody's not human.
Not very, but
I'm not even dealing with
that's
this
the
guy.
point, though. The game is created in a way so that it is an actual achievement to beat it.
Yeah.
Right. So the same concept. There is something at the end of the rainbow. Right. It's a pot of gold, but only the ones that are willing to put the time in, the dedication to breaking to be able to break that, the Enigma code in a sense, are the ones that reap the benefit. We don't know what the benefit is.
And I guess it was only really reaped by one, too.
To knowledge, right? It was the one in the UK.
Because everybody else just got an ASCII picture of Stonehenge. So, happy birthday!
I wonder what it sells for on eBay. You know,
well, keep in
I
mind,
might buy one and put it up on my wall.
Keep in mind that in itself could be a deterrent. If I spend thousands of hours and I get a Stonehenge picture, I'm done trying. Now that may go, hey, wait a minute, something was cracked, and keep pushing. Again, it could be another one of those things that is a deterrent to pull people off.
Right.
Cody said, how ticked off would you be if you opened up a Stonehenge, like you're doing all this and all of a sudden you get a picture of Elmo in characters? I'd be
upset.
I'd be sick to my stomach. I'd be like, I'm done with this.
Elmo is scary in itself.
Or get an
You guys ever seen them Tickle Me Elmo things?
Or get an excerpt from some excerpt
from some
Russian
dude.
American journalist.
It's like, why do I care? And what is this?
Right. You'd be frustrated unless somehow there was a puzzle in it, which from what we can tell, there's not.
Well, and that, I mean, I would see more in the Max Lerner stuff because, again, Max Lerner was thought to be, and some people thought him as like a anarchist because he was always speaking out against government, things like that. So I could see you finding that going, okay, what do we got here? But then partnered with a, symbol built picture of Stonehenge. I don't get it. I know that there are some top theories out there. The three that I found were, one is a recruitment tool for cryptography or a security firm. That was one. So if you're a security firm and you're trying to find people, what is that movie with a guy writes the bad check? Catch Me If You Can, right? The guy ends up working for the FBI because he's like one of the best at it. And they're like, well, if we're going to catch people like him, we want the best. So similar thing. If we're going to be a security firm and we need to have heavy, deep encryption, we need people that can crack. Concept there, right? The second one was a numbers station. And I did some research on number stations, and they are basically, so before computers, they were radio broadcasts that would broadcast different numbers and code out to what they believe to be foreign spies, terrorists, or criminals. So it was like their own internal code within these, frequencies that people would decipher, and then they would have the code that nobody else was picking up on. And that this was potentially a number station. Stonehenge, not sure, but Max Lerner maybe?
Right, because they do similar stuff like that on like eBay or Craigslist. Did you know about this?
I did not.
So like what'll happen is it's an encrypted thing they'll put up on Craigslist, or it'll be disguised as like a purple frisbee. But someone who's looking for a purple frisbee, it will actually be like a 7-year-old child. Like we
just had the conversation about Wayfair. The whole Wayfair concept.
Wayfair concept?
Remember we were talking about how they would sell furniture? It was like $10,000 and it was named like a person's name?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. And that's the same concept where it would be encoded because only the other person with the key would understand what this meant. And so like
a million people see a purple frisbee,
and the FBI or anybody will go, oh, it's just purple frisbee, whatever. They'll just regard it. But the thing is that the criminals on the other end know what they're trading, and they can come into communication with them.
They have the key.
They have the key.
In those particular scenarios, though, there's nothing intriguing about that. Something about this, there's adding a level of mystery and intrigue, and this other person interacting in other posts would draw attention to this. If you're a criminal or a spy, you're not wanting to draw attention. This is like code in a newspaper, in an article, looking for a house, right?
You wouldn't purposely go,
it would be cryptic.
Hey, crack my spy.
Right. And even in Cody's argument, the eBay thing, that's cryptic, right? I look at it and go, okay, that's purple frisbee. Okay, it's got a weird name, cool, and I move on. The difference would be if I'm on a Reddit post or I'm on something and I see that eBay link linked for me to go look at it, that would cause a level of intrigue or mystery that would engage me in on that, which if I'm a criminal organization, I'm not trying to do that unless I'm doing some form of recruitment. So criminal, spy, that kind of thing. This, to me, the second one kind of goes out the window because you wouldn't want to draw this kind of attention to you if you were trying to give a message across, because most codes can be broken. Again, you need a cipher to be able to do so. But in that particular situation, it doesn't really lean towards it being some form of communication to someone else. It just doesn't to me.
Right.
There's too much attention to it, drawn. What was the last one? There's one more you had mentioned earlier.
There is a third one. And this one is probably quite possible, 100% out of all three, if you ask me. Somebody just has way too much time on their hands and they decide to create an alternate reality game.
Now explain to me what you mean by alternate reality game. Like when you say that, what does that mean to you? What do you think? What are you saying? Because it doesn't make sense how this could be an alternate reality game.
So, like a game designer designs a game and you design it as hard as you can, like Dark Souls, for instance, which my TV probably has been saved 1,000 times by me just powering down. You design a game with the potential for it to be beat, but also so hard that not everybody's going to beat it, right? You want to see people struggle. You want to see people go through the motions and fight and do all these different things until somebody figures it out. You don't want to just give it away because.
Oh, you mean this is just a game?
Okay, yeah.
That was
alternate
the
reality
third
game.
But what's the alternate reality?
The alternate
part? That's
reality
the problem.
it confuses me.
Yeah.
So it's basically a game.
Well, I need you to explain it better than me then.
Well, yeah. Alternate
I don't
reality
have a
makes
clue.
me think like this is another reality, and somehow somebody from another reality is playing. to us.
Alternative from my reality.
Alternative from my reality. What I think you're trying to say is this is all a game, and there's no real intent behind the game other than just it's a Squid Game.
Yeah.
Other than to see if somebody can crack it. That's it. That's the only intent. And it's really there's nothing at the end of the rainbow. It's just a game.
Yeah, I didn't see any like true definitions on these theories out there.
Yeah.
These were just the top three that
the
I
alternate
saw.
reality would confuse me because I think alternate reality when I think that. I mean, I'll give you my opinion. Again, not knowing as much as you guys know on this topic, to me, it leans more on some kind of military organization of some kind, right? CIA, MI6, SEALs. I don't know, somebody out there, or anonymous. You have to have some way of recruiting these people without drawing attention to yourself. Now, you're drawing attention to the object, the puzzle, but again, you're putting something out there that's meant to be unbreakable, except for those that are just special. Someone that can see things in a different way, see things in a puzzle, essentially see it the way that you see it, because essentially you created it. Now, when you create something, you don't always create something with the intent that somebody else is going to be able to solve it the way you do. You want to see them solve it in a unique way. Identifying ciphers and pictures. I look at Stonehenge picture and I go, man, but somebody else may be able to look at that and go, oh, I see this, I see that. And so I would think of it as more of a recruitment tool. And the only reason I say that is the moment someone solved it, it went away. That user went away, doesn't exist anymore, and the page went away. Or not away, but became locked. Like I'm looking at it, the original page is blocked.
But can you find the thousands of originals?
I think
Are they out there somewhere?
I don't know. I know that. Okay, so the one that Cody's mentioning is still alive today is the shortened version, but the original version, with the one with 15 characters, is considered private. Now, Reddit, how you capitalize letters and all that does matter, but the original one that's 15 characters, which
Don't worry, folks,
we've
it's
already
not
read
COVID.
it. We read at the very beginning of the podcast, right? The A858DE45F569DBC9.
Yeah, the pink unicorn. I got it. So
That Reddit forum is private. It's not open. It was locked in 2016 and reopened in 2018 and then locked again.
I just want to know if we can find these thousands of codes and convince Cody to sit here and try to break them.
But the point is, the original
I think he
poster
can do
came
it.
out and said, these are meaningless.
He doesn't have a clue who John Cusick is, but he can break these.
That's funny. I want to tell him, be like, we knew they were meaningless. You gave me an ASCII picture of Stonehenge when I combed your freaking 5 years of archive posts.
But if you're intending
why you
to
playing me, bro?
Yeah.
Wait. If you're
Like-
intending to recruit someone special, how many you would dip out after that? Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have
No, you wouldn't have gotten to that
I
point.
would've saw
But
random numbers and
But
gone, no.
assuming you were able to decipher it down to a ASCII picture of Stonehenge, you'd be like, what the heck is this? I'm done.
I don't think you put enough faith in yourself, Cody. I've seen you play like 5-bit games and go after a hat for hours. So I think you could achieve this.
But the thing is I don't get a fake hat whenever I put in those 500 hours. I get a real hat.
Is it really a real hat?
Is it?
Real to me.
So, but if you spend all that time and you crack one and it's Stonehenge, you're like, all right. And then you crack another one and it's this excerpt from Max Lerner. Do you stop?
Absolutely.
I think it depends on the person. And again, this is where I go back to, we're looking for that special person. The person that's willing to push past all of this, because I would be deterred after the photo. I wouldn't have even gotten to Max Lerner if that was the second one decrypted. I'd have been like, I did all of this and that's what I got. And there's no meaning behind it. Because ASCII, again, is a language, but the way that it's used is just to make a photo. There's no hidden image. There's no hidden code in that in the image that was given to me.
The purpose is the photo.
There is no purpose. Again, to play the game is not play.
Hey.
Yeah, and by that I've won the game because
I would not play.
I would not play.
I won way before you guys.
At what point do you go, oh, this is meaningless?
Right.
At what point do you decide, okay, none of this means anything
again,
to me?
I opened up the two images I saw and I go, I give up.
Tying it back to this is either a game or this is again my theories. It's either a game or it's something that has intent behind drawing someone with a special, unique set of skills, like a Liam Neeson, right? Pulling them in.
Mm-hmm.
Do
you know who Liam Neeson is?
Yes, and who Liam Neeson is.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Bravo.
What the what?
Taken poster going on the wall.
Yes.
He has a specific set of skills. Oh. But anyways, the point being there is that you're trying to get something at the end of this. Now, if it's a game, you're not. You're just trying to see how far people are willing to go. But why close it? Right. You wouldn't close it unless the game had been over or solved, right? And the second part is, why would I do this if I'm not going to find a special person in the end? It was open for what, 5 years?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, closed in 2016.
Right. Correct.
Okay. So I left it open that whole time, but I closed it, and we know to what we believe we know is that one person in the UK solved it, and then that user won.
Yeah. I mean, it's just some lady drinking her tea, and she's like, I got this.
In my six. So I
figured it out.
It could
Figure it out.
Now I'm going to delete my account.
To me, it feels more CIA MI6. But I'm open to the possibility that this could even go further and confuse everyone and be something like an anonymous. Now we know some of the anonymous members because they've retired and they're now in the public, but most of those, there's still a level of intrigue, and that was back around this time that anonymous was became really big.
Oh, when did anonymous pop?
I want to say
I'm aware of anonymous.
I
think
want
they
to
have
say
the coolest
their
masks
biggest.
in the world.
I want to say
love
their
that.
biggest thing was
V for
2016.
Vendetta mask.
Another thing they put in the foreclosure post is that the reason why they shut down the thing is because the company was going through a transitional period of power. Like they were merging, and then they lost interest in the project, and it was it lost funding essentially. So they let the guy go and they shut down the site. So that's another reason.
Another tagline for the CIA is called the company. I don't know if you guys know that.
Founded in 2003. And there was an anonymous movie released in 2011. So high popularity was between this time. And V for Vendetta, right? That came out a little before that as well, right? I mean, the masks were used before anonymous it was around, but I believe it wasn't as at the height of its popularity.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. CIA, NSA. I never put anything past those guys. Those guys are crazy. But I just think it was some dude sitting around that is, very good on a computer and very good with these kind of things. And so be it. What was that Bruce Willis movie with the little kid that's doing the puzzle book? And he's like, he's a savant, and has like a level of autism, but he cracks the code, finds a phone number in the code, calls it, and it's the CIA. And they're like, who is this? And they basically hunt this little kid down because he cracked the code.
I don't remember the name of that movie.
Bruce Willis movie. Why am I drawing a blank? Anyways, that's when you say CIA, NSA, that's what I think of when you're saying that it's quite possible they put this stuff out there and and see who will crack it, and then maybe try to hire them. I don't know. I can't make heads or tails of it.
Rising.
Mercury Rising. Yes.
9-year-old autistic boy cracks the government code, unbreakable code.
Yeah, and some little kid puzzle book and he's just doing the puzzles, and then you see him, and then he picks up the phone and dials his phone number, and it's like, who is this? This is a secure line, and it's like they buried it within this puzzle, and it was supposed to be unbreakable. So maybe they're just testing their codes. Who knows?
What's your guys' theories? Okay, I understand that we're getting a little long here, but you know what?
I already told you, drug-induced guy and his cat. I'm just saying. I'm leaving it at that. And boredom mixed. You put all that together.
I
get some codes.
I lean more towards it being some kind of military organization. We're talking about like clandestine, right? CIA, MI6. What's the one like? Is the India one? I can't think of it off the top of my head. Anyways, I think of those ones. But I'm open to the idea of it being anonymous because of the timeline. Operation Takedown was happening during this time with Anonymous. It was very public, very vocal. They needed recruits.
They did.
Yeah. Right?
So,
what are you thinking?
I just think it's some cryptography company or maybe tech company.
But for what purpose?
Based off what's said when they said one of the reasons why they stopped and they shut it down is because of the transfer of power that was going on in the company. Because the company was going through a merger and it lost funding, and that's why they shut it down.
Okay, but to what purpose? Like, what purpose would some random company be doing?
They needed cryptographers, people who knew hexadecimal.
Okay, so like as a hiring tool.
Yeah.
Like, this is a tech test.
Yeah.
Okay.
Public
okay.
tech test.
And then they ran out of money, or they got soaked up in some.
Or it was a research program. It was an experiment. Is a experiment where they could see, okay, how many people are going to click on random text. They're gonna see, okay, how many people stuck through it all, or what was the percentage of people who could solve things with no context given whatsoever.
I could see it being a research tool.
It could be.
I could totally see that being a research tool.
I think the guy's just like, let me see how many likes and follows I can get on Reddit. No, I don't know.
If that was his purpose,
I'm gonna have to look at more Reddit. Apparently,
when we're done here, we're gonna have like a 30-minute conversation on what Reddit is and how it's used, because you don't clearly have an understanding for it.
If you don't download that on your phone, right?
Bro, if you don't have Reddit and get a cake day today,
yeah, I don't need more spam email. I'm good. Anyways, let us know your thoughts. Post them in the comments. What you think it is. Google RA858. Hit images, and I think you will get a few of them, and as well as the Stonehenge picture, which it's kind of cool. And Fluffy the cat, if you're out there, we hope you're listening. With that, like, follow. We love you as always. We are out.
Peace out.